My name is Suzanne. I have a story to tell. I was torn from my baby boy, my child, and thrown into modern day slavery. My sexual human traffickers never wanted me to live long enough to tell what really happened to me. My father, God of Isaac, Abraham, and Jacob had other plans. Awareness about human trafficking in America is so important. Who would have guessed in America when I finally escaped that the police did not protect me and only protected my traffickers? That day I escaped is the day I became a targeted individual. My father, God of Isaac, Abraham, and Jacob had other plans. Awareness about human trafficking in America is so important.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hello, everybody.
Okay, tonight we have Jenn Woodruff, the homeschooling mom, with Suzanne Accardo, our guest for the night. I'm going to step back. I'll be in the corner here, looking nice and handsome, and I'm going to have my microphone muted. This show tonight is about Suzanne's personal testimony to horrific experience that no woman should ever have to live through. But she is here tonight to tell the tale and to hopefully prevent this from happening for anybody else. So, Jen, she's going to be doing an interviewing, and guys, take it away. I'm going to mute my mic.
Hi, Suzanne. How are you?
Hey, how are you?
Great. So, let's just get into this. Can you believe that amazing song that Randy put together? Well, he put in certain elements of it, and AI took over, and I thought they did amazing. It's almost scary how much they know. But so to start off your story, can you describe the moments leading up to your kidnapping? Like, what were you doing?
Well, that's the thing. I was harmed. I wasn't kidnapped. The man who ended up trafficking me, we dated for about 4 months, and he had messaged me online for 15 years.
Wow. That's amazing. Okay, but what was the moment where you realize this is weird? Like, we've been messaging, we've been talking, and he picks you up. Did you go out to eat? Were you on a date?
Well, we had went out for a drink, and ended up dating for about 4 months. And then what ended up happening was, like I would lose, time would disappear. Um, he would bring home the same size fountain drinks, the same sodas. And what ended up happening is he was drugging me and I didn't realize it at the
Oh,
time. So
man.
time slipped by, and before I knew it, I had went to go visit him at his RV, and it seems like I ended up never leaving, and before I knew it, I was being drugged and held against my will, and I was chained up inside that RV for a couple of months.
Wow. Now,
Yeah.
were you like had handcuffs? Were you like physically chained? Or were you? I know there was a chain on the door, and that is my favorite part of the story because that's how you knew when you were free when he left it open. But so you were trapped chemically, basically. He just kept you drugged.
Yeah, I was given some type of date rape drugs. I was handcuffed a lot of the time to the actual wall above the bed. What was going on is he was drugging me, and then men were being carpooled to my location, and that's how he was sexually trafficking me out.
Wow. Um, what was like? Is there any particular strategy or mental exercise that helped you get through this ordeal?
Well, music was always my drug of choice my whole life, and I found myself just replaying certain songs in my head to kind of help me cope with the fact that, I couldn't really move. I'd wake up and, like, I wasn't even awake very long before, I would be drugged again. And I'm guessing the way they were able to do it so easily is they were starving me. I got maybe a tablespoon of something to eat every couple of days or whenever I was actually awake and coherent. Now, I guess that was their way of getting the drugs in me. I was probably about 130 pounds when I first got torn away and thrown into modern day slavery. And by the time I escaped, I was probably about 80 pounds soaking wet.
Oh my gosh. Wow. In what ways did you try to communicate with your captors? Like, were you screaming and yelling, "This is wrong, this is wrong"? Were you fighting? Were you punching? How were you communicating with them? Or was it just a bad dream you were in and out?
Yeah, I was in and out a lot. The couple of times I did, like, realize that maybe something wasn't right here, and I tried to get up and leave. He would physically prevent me. I was choked. I was thrown on the floor. I remember one time when I tried to walk out, he threw me on the ground when I realized something wasn't right. When I realized something wasn't right, um, there was these little peepholes in the RV. I really believe that they were having men come up to the peepholes and they were looking in on me. Because I had seen some eyes looking in. But the one time I was able to look out, I saw a van full of men. It was like they were being carpooled there, and I realized, something's really not right, and I need to get out of here. But he ended up, he was able to stop me before I even got through the door, dragged me back in, and broke every single one of my ribs, so I couldn't move.
My God. Okay. No, is this your all-time low at this point in the RV with the broken ribs? Is that like pretty much when things came to a lull? Because I want to know what happened that he left and didn't chain the door.
Um, that probably, well, by the time I was able to escape at that point, he had probably broken my ribs about a month before that. I was in there for a good, I would say I was probably there for 3 months. And that's the kicker to it. See, in my situation, my family wasn't looking for me because a lot of my family members were in on it. I I had a grandmother and an uncle. My uncle was 82nd Airborne, and my grandmother had millions of dollars from losing another son to a car accident. A big old truck hit him. Anyway, my family, basically my mother's husband wanted that money, and I was trading out into this to pay for their demise, to pay for their murder.
Oh my
That's why
gosh.
that's why I was being sold, and I know a lot. Some of it I don't completely understand because, again, I was groomed by this man online. Somehow he knew my mother's husband. They got together, and you don't get a professional hit like that by organized crime for free. And by trading me out into the trafficking ring, they were able to pay for my grandmother and my uncle's demise.
Wow. Okay, so how I'm just trying to say, how did you recover from broken ribs? And so, well, let's give it a good month or two. And then he just left, and w- you heard the chain outside the door just hanging. I mean, it wasn't being locked. So,
Well, it wasn't, I mean, obvious. Well, I just remember I sat up. I'm guessing the drug, I developed a tolerance for the drug.
wow.
And he wasn't expecting me to dodge the way I did. He wasn't expecting me to run the way I did. I just remember I felt intolerant. I looked back at him. He was still in there. I looked back at him, and he was sitting there, and I saw two syringes completely full. At that point, I'm thinking, this man's about to kill me.
Wow.
And I ran.
That's crazy. And so now you
I
were in an
ran.
RV, so you're probably in a neighborhood. I mean, you weren't at a campsite.
No, I
So
was in the neighborhood.
you went,
He had an RV on his parents' property. That's
wow.
where this was taking place. I believe his parents would go out of town, and then that's when, it would happen.
Okay, so when you escaped, you went to a neighbor's house, and how did they receive you? Was it a man, a woman, a family?
Well, see, at the time, I wouldn't even have known to use the terminology. I think I'm being trafficked. Can you help me? I remember banging on the door, and I thought, I was like, call 911, please. This man's had me chained up. I'm 90 pounds soaking wet. I got scratches and bruises and blood all over my body. I'm starving. Anyway, I thought calling 911 that, they'd be there to help and protect me, but that wasn't the case.
Wow.
After I was taking after the ambulance and the police took me away, it was never spoke of again.
Okay. So was this a woman that answered the door or a man when you went to the
I think
neighbors?
it was a couple. I don't
Okay.
remember who they were.
And did you say they treated your situation like, "Oh, it's just domestic violence"?
Well, yeah, something like that.
Like you're just a distraught girlfriend or something? That is so sad. Like they
Well,
couldn't
I mean,
tell.
they didn't know what to think. All I know is I thought the police were there to protect me, and before I knew it, um, I was brought to a hospital, put in these paper scrubs, and a judge in East Montgomery County, Texas, where this unfolded at,
Mhm.
threw me in a mental hospital that night.
Oh my gosh, a mental hospital. Wow. Now, did you try to contact any family, like your mom or
Well, at the
anybody?
time, well, I mean, it took me a few years of my own detective work to figure out, what in the world happened here,
Wow.
and to figure out that my grandmother and my uncle didn't die of natural causes.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
so calling my family, they were like, there was no support there.
Where
There
was
was
your
no.
where was your son at this time? You had already had a son. Like the song said, you were ripped away from your baby.
Yeah, I was torn away from my child because I left the house just for a couple of hours and I was never able to return.
Who was your son with?
My mother,
Okay. I wasn't
my
sure.
my my mother who was actually married to one of my trappers.
Wow. That's scary. And your son had no idea what was going on during any of this, correct?
No, my family just told my son that I was crazy and on drugs and basically, whenever they wanted to feed him because they didn't expect me to be alive much longer.
Wow. Okay, how much time had lapsed after this point where we are in the story where you got out or you're still in the okay, when did you get out of the mental hospital and how did that happen?
Hmm.
Was it like a month
Well,
or so?
they had me in there for about a good month. It was things just didn't seem right. A lot of the medication they were trying to give me, I was taking it because I knew I didn't need it. Um,
Wow.
I would have other patients in there telling me to eat my food in moderation. And like they would always try to give me a tray with my name on it only. Just a lot of very, very, very strange things that happened in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you finally got discharged from the hospital, who picked you up? Or did I mean they can't just
Nobody picked me up. I Ubered home.
okay, you just
I
okay.
Ubered home, and when I got home, my family was like, "What are you doing out?" I even had a sister who told me, "You should have stayed in there, Suzanne. They would have taken really good care of you." And that was my sister from my mother's husband, one of my traffickers.
Oh wow, that's scary. Did you get a cab home? Is that how you got from the hospital to your home or did you walk?
I think the hospital provided an Uber for me.
Oh wow, that was nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Um so and then from that moment to when you went it's not in the notes, but I know you went to healing rooms and I think those are so cool where they prayed over you
Well,
and that
that was a couple of years after all of this.
oh,
When I got out, all of a sudden there was multiple attempts on my life. So I had to board up my home in Texas, and I fled to Louisiana. I had a home
okay.
in I had a home invasion where I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. These three Mexican guys were hovering over me. One of them put chloroform over my face. They strangled my animals, left them for dead in my bathtub. I wasn't supposed to wake up.
My gosh.
I woke up a couple of days later. One of the guys was laying there staring at me. He told me you weren't supposed to wake up. I'm supposed to only be here and wait for you to stop breathing. There's an officer waiting down the road, a couple of detectives on standby. They wanted to look like I overdosed myself.
That's scary. Yeah, I could see how they would try to do that. Um, I think it's amazing that you're fighting back, but it reminds me of like cockroaches, and they say just turn on the light, and that's exactly what you're doing, and you're making them scatter. But I love the fact that you've developed this modern day slavery, developing what is it, creating awareness for human trafficking. And can you tell me a story about someone who knows your name and knows about modern day slavery and who was in a similar situation that you were in a hospital? And they said they knew you, and all of a sudden everyone was like,
Oh
wow.
yeah, yeah. Well, in modern day slavery, I have in my featured section, modern day slavery creating awareness in America. In my featured section, I have some testimonials. I always suggest to always keep the cameras rolling, or if you're a targeted individual, a whistleblower, or a trafficking survivor, you should always have someone with you if you need to go to the ER, the hospital, the doctor. Anyway, one of my members was live while she was at a medical facility, and I called her up and I had her put me on speakerphone and I said, well, has my memory told y'all she's suicidal or homicidal? What are y'all doing with her? Why are y'all going to detain her? My member said, no, I never told them that. I'm not suicidal and I'm not homicidal. Well, I asked him, I said, well, why do y'all have her there? I told him who I was. I told him that modern day slavery was watching. And the next day, the director of the hospital pulled her out, asking her who Suzanne Accardo was from modern day slavery, and they released her that day.
I think that's great. I think it's so cool how you actually it's better than cool. It's amazing. It is like such a blessing how you were able to survive what you did and then rise above the ashes and then come back fighting. That's I think it's great, and you're pulling other people out of the same problem, and that's great. You've really made a name for yourself and your group, and I love that. And
Well,
how
see, the worst mistake I made, and being that I had to go through all of that, almost die multiple times, to be able to come out here and tell my testimony, you know, if you're ever in a situation like that, if you can contact multiple sources, don't just contact your local law enforcement, because unfortunately, a lot of these organized criminals are positioned everywhere in the police department and the hospitals to block you.
wow. Wow. It's amazing because you think you can go to them for protection and you can't. It's scary. Did you recognize any of the voices or names of your abusers as like cops or locals?
Well, I learned a lot. This happened to me in 2020, so I've learned a lot. I found out that one of my traffickers, his cousin's the constable of East Montgomery County, Texas. So,
Hmm.
they've got a lot of people in higher power protecting them. It's a huge organized effort.
Wow. What did you say was your biggest mistake? You said it a few minutes ago and I didn't catch it. I'm sorry. The most frustrating thing you did wrong, you thought?
Well, I mean, how was I to know?
Right?
How was I to know that, I was not safe dialing 911?
Mm. Wow, do you think that was pretty much an alert to everybody when you called uh, asking for help that they realized, "Oh my gosh, she's on to us?" Is
Yeah.
that wow, that's crazy. What advice do you have for people who could easily fall into something like this? How could they avoid it?
Well, that's the thing, I mean, how are you supposed to know when, the person makes you feel like they care and they love you? I mean, it's not the white minivan anymore. It's the grooming. It's
Wow.
and they earn your trust. And
That's sad. It is frustrating, but wow. So I'm so happy that your um I don't know what to call it. It's not a company, that your movement has such a good name like modern day slavery, and that it's a force to be reckoned with. That when your name, Suzanne Accardo, and modern day slavery come up in a hospital, people take note and they realize, oh, we have to be careful because they're on to us again. And
Yeah.
so that is wonderful. And I loved the story you told me about when you went to New Orleans and you went to a healing room. It was on your path to developing your group of awareness, and
Mhm.
they related you to like David fighting off a Goliath, which is
Yeah.
this huge giant. And I really like that story, because what David did was he didn't just get, a stone to throw in a slingshot at Goliath, but he got like five smooth stones. Was it four or five? He got four smooth stones, five actually. There were 4 extras in his pouch, not because he was planning on what if I miss, but because Goliath had 4 other brothers, if you read on in the scriptures. So he was prepared to like take this giant and the whole family down. And that's what you're doing. And I love it because you're shedding light on it and you're gathering people. So you're building a safety net. There is safety in numbers. And I love that. So you go, girl. That's awesome what you're doing. And I pray Godspeed with your endeavors. And do you have any fear? How are you protecting yourself now?
Well, I mean, at this point, I'm really not afraid of them. I'm not. I just know I know what they're doing and how they're going about it. So I just stay out of those situations, and I've always got the cameras rolling, and I don't believe that God pulled me through all of this for me not to tell my testimony, for me not to expose what they're doing.
Right. That's awesome. Very good. So we should really be really careful. I'm thinking of the first step that got you into this whole mess was talking to someone you did not know as well as you thought you did online. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, that's the situation. Well, that's the situation I don't fully understand. I'm sure they would have gotten someone else to do what they were going to do to me. Remember, my family was in on this the whole time.
Wow. So you were very targeted.
Very targeted, yes. But again, everybody's trafficking situation's different. You know, but a lot of people are trafficked by people they know, family members, neighbors, friends. It can happen to anybody, any age, race, or gender. I was 38 years old when this happened to me.
Mm, wow. How old is your son now?
My son,
Yeah. How old was he
he's
when you
14 years old now.
Oh, so he was young. How old was he when you were taken from him?
9.
Wow, that's crazy. So this is like recent, within the last decade? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Last 5 years.
How is he doing?
He's
Is,
okay. He's okay. He's living his life. He doesn't really know a whole lot about what's going on with his mama because I mean, when you tell a small child, when you tell him, I had to explain to him that his mother was, very physically ill, and I just couldn't, financially take care of him anymore. But that's all he really needed to know. But my family wanted him to think that I was crazy and just walked away. And he knows that part is not true. That I just didn't walk away on purpose.
wow, good. That's good. That's important. I know I printed out a list of ways that safety tips to keep people safe, but I didn't focus on the cybersecurity as much as I should have. But it's more about carrying yourself out in public with authority and keeping your head on a swivel, always knowing what's going on. But seriously, yours started so quietly that it's a crazy story. I know that one of our friends, Dave, is always saying, "Is she done with her book yet?" And I'm like, "I don't know." So, are you ever going to put the story to a book? What do you think?
Oh yeah, I've been working on my memoirs.
Oh, that's great.
I have a few people I trust up north that have copies of it. So, let's just say I'm unable to finish it before I leave this world. I will be talking beyond my grave. You can believe that.
That's awesome. Okay, did you need to know anything else, Randy? Did you have a question?
No, you guys are doing good. Uh, um, I know you. It sounds like you're coming to end up what you had as far as questions on your side, Jen. Uh, Beyond the traditional interviewing process, Suzanne, do you want to take some time here to go over anything that you might have missed in the interview portion? Any more details? Something about your group, how people can find your group, what the group is there for, what knowing that in your particular situation you weren't exactly kidnapped by some stranger. You were actually was found out by someone who was you thought was going to be a relationship. Do you have any uh, uh, warnings that you want to give to any lady listening to the show tonight, or or the replay, how they can put things into play to protect themselves? Like I was saying to Jen earlier, how if you're going, if I was telling my daughter if she was dating, when you go out, take your cell phone with you. Uh, don't be you're having your face in your phone. Be watching where you're walking. Look at your where you're walking into. Walking when you go to your car. Click your button on your car lock to turn on indoor lights on so you can see who might be lurking inside your car. When you go in, if you're going out for drinks, make sure you're always got your eyeball on your drink. Don't ever let it alone. Be with someone you trust. Those kind of suggestions, recommendations that you would recommend to other women. And before you answer that question, I just want to say hi to all the folks who are actually watching right now. I want to give a shout out to William Grant, Ray Fagans, Dave Glovin, um, Jane O'Malley, Robin Brunson. That's as far as who actually made comments. Where are we at with viewership? Let me just back this off here. Um, I shared this out like 14 groups, so it's kind of hard. Okay, right now, well, from our show earlier, it's 45, but yeah, so we have a good number of people while watching. So some are making comments. So um, yeah, so at this point, it sounds like Jen is closing up on her and talk about your group, talk about what it can do for women who might be in need, and also address what you learned and moving forward, how to protect yourself, as well as other women who might be going out into the world, and how they can, hopefully, prevent this from happening to them. Okay.
Well, I mean, definitely don't turn your back on a drink or having, don't just have somebody hand you a drink. But in my situation, I thought this man was my boyfriend and he cared about me. I had no idea that he was switching the drinks up and he was drugging me. I had no clue. I really I can't provide a whole lot right now as to where you can go for help and this and that because unfortunately there's not a whole lot of help for trafficking victims of huge organized rings. There's a lot of people and a lot of higher power who try to make sure that people like me never talk. I've had multiple attempts on my life, and but I'm still alive. And as long as I can talk, I'm gonna keep sharing my story. And I created my group so other people who are in familiar situations can come together and know they're not alone. I felt so alone for years before I developed my group. I've worked really hard the last 3 years sharing my group, exposing it, and I can't tell you where to go, but I can tell you what not to do to help save your life or help prolong your life.
Wow. Do you think that fighting back is not the best option? Because I know even in like science, it says, for every action, there's an equal but opposite reaction. So if you're going to hit someone, they're going to hit you back. So
Well,
that's scary.
Jen, they tried to take me out the night I escaped. I've had home invasions. I've been given deadly flushes at the emergency rooms when they figured out who I was. Here's
Hmm.
an example. Nurse comes in with her tag, turned around where I can't see her name. She gives me a flush of my IV. All of a sudden, the heart monitor goes from 80 to 200. I'm screaming. Of course, I'm freaking out. I'm going into cardiac distress. She walks over, turns the monitor off, and walks out of the room and leaves me there.
Ooh,
Of course, at that point, I'm saying prayers. I took the IV out of my arm and I got out of there. But that's just an example. And I'm guessing a lot of people don't live through that, so they've never lived that long to talk about what I'm telling y'all.
gosh, that's
So why
scary.
would I not? Why would I not provide this information to help save somebody else's life if they're trying to take me out anyway?
Right?
I think that would be selfish of me, wouldn't it?
Hmm. I think you're amazing that you can even talk about it. So I'm just handling it with kid gloves because I don't want to stress you out anymore. It's crazy. I can't believe what you've been through, but I mean, I do believe it. It's just crazy. There has to be some kind of consequence for the people who do these things. How can we stop this? Besides making people aware and besides growing your numbers, which is wonderful. I don't know. Do you have suggestions, Randy?
I said this before on another broadcast. Um, when we have in our own uh, White House, with the Congress and Senate, and there are funds of money put aside to pay off uh, the indiscretions, if you will, of the men, primarily the men in the Congress and the Senate, when they step outside the parameters of what it means to be a decent human being and they get caught. Uh, and our government actually pays off these people, these victims, to shut them up so that it doesn't become public knowledge. When you have the Epstein and Griswold situation and how she's sitting on a list of very powerful men uh, who took the advantage of these young girls and boys, and they are still out there walking free, whereas the victims are walking around with the horrors inside their heads, and there's no justice has been done. And the White House, not necessarily Trump, but those who are in control, the FBI, the Secret Service, the Homeland Security, the judicial system, the whole 9 yards, where all they have to do is say, "Look, we'll give you complete immunity. We're not going to charge you with a crime. Give us that list, and then go after them." They're the ones who should be sitting in prison. Of course, her as well, But if it means letting her to go free to get the 100 or more names behind bars, to me, that's a fair trade off.
Mhm.
But our government is just as guilty and dirty when it comes to sex crimes, when it comes to the millions of children who go missing, and the government's behind it. So how can a person like Suzanne, hope to get any type of protection from the local police department, who's probably in
Right.
the hands of the sex handlers, when the victims can't get help from our own government to just say enough is enough. We'll give you immunity, give us the list, and then go after them. The reason is
Right.
that they have money and they have power. And unfortunately, today, in our society, sex trafficking is the modern day version of slavery. And obviously, we have not learned from years back when we had slavery before. Now, it's not the same type of slavery, but it's still slavery in the sense that it is taking an individual, chaining them up, and doing with them as they please. Um, I mean, it's like, this coming Tuesday, Jen and I are going to have a broadcast about slavery during the war between the North and the South. And my client, who is second generation descendant of slaves, who his owner had a couple hundred slaves, men and women. And when you look at the list of the ages that are listed, I mean, there are 70-year-olds down to 8-month-old slaves,
Yes.
and damn well the 8-month-old slave is a offspring of the slave owner to one of his female slaves. Um, you know, again, if my daughter was socially active, okay, she has a boyfriend now for like 16 years, but if she were, this is me. My advice, okay, take it or leave it. If those who are a father of a daughter, or even it doesn't have to be just primarily female, though it tends to be, but boys as well. Um, to Rebecca, I would say, Rebecca, you going out tonight? Yes, Dad. Okay, I want you in by such and such time. Keep make sure your cell phone is charged up. Keep it close to you. You got your mace? Yes, Dad. You got that whistle that hits that decibel where it attacks the
Right.
auditory system. Yes, Dad. I got that as well. So okay, so who are you going with tonight? I'm going with so and so. Okay, do I have the information? Yes, Dad. It's on the tablet on the table. Okay, so I got her
Awesome.
cell phone. Yes. Okay, so when you go out, what are you going to do? Okay, Dad. When I go outside, I'm going to keep my head straight ahead. Don't have my head in the cell phone. Walk into the restaurant, the bar. Keep my eyes on my drink. Don't let my drink sit without anyone that I trust to watch over it. And in fact, when I come back, I'll probably even need to just get a new drink, make sure it's fresh. And of course, hopefully the bartender is not dirty. Okay, we got to take that into consideration.
Right.
But my daughter's phone has that tracker. On your cell phones, you can add your daughter to where's my whatever, and it'll track my daughter. And I do that because she goes out every Saturday with her boyfriend to a restaurant, and then afterwards to a grocery store. And sometimes it's midnight when they come home. But I can go to my cell phone and I can turn it on, and I can see an image of a car, and I can see exactly where it's at. It's at the restaurant. It's at the grocery store. I can see when it's in motion. I can see what street is on. These are just some of the things that I've had my daughter to make use of to protect her in this world. I mean, obviously, there's more. I mean, if you have a gun and you're trained on, you're licensed to have a
Wow.
concealed carry gun, there's that aspect of it as well. But today, folks, you can't take chances, even with someone like in Suzanne's case. She thought she had
Yeah.
a good catch here, and it turns out that her family was just used the situation to do what they did. That is my advice.
May I add that when the police swept all of my reports under the rug, I contacted the local Houston FBI, and they swept it under the rug as well. I never heard back from anybody. I would always get transferred to this one lady, some type of victim coordinator with the last name of Rodriguez, and it would never go any further than that. I felt like she was blocking me.
Wow.
Unfortunately, when it comes down to it, we can't trust any of the at least even with Trump in the office and trying to undo things. The people on the left are always trying to block him from putting in people we can trust. You know, and it's a sad scenario when the FBI that I knew and grew up with can't be trusted to fall, to be there for the people. I mean, I'm not saying that every FBI agent is dirty, just that there's enough of them. And you just can't figure out which ones you can trust, which ones are going to do the actual job of tracking down the bad guy.
Right.
I had advocated for one of my members a year ago, and she had CPS and the FBI harassing her. They had already trafficked her 17-year-old daughter at that time. She had a 5-year-old little girl, and we talked for about 6 months, and we decided it'd be best for her to leave the United States. She had the financial backing to do it, so she got a passport for her and her daughter, and they left America for their freedom.
Wow.
And they're doing great right now. They're living in Europe.
Oh, that's awesome.
So are we closing up here for ladies?
Are we what?
Are we
Closing.
bringing the show to an end? And is there something more you want to talk about? Anything else that we have not discussed that you want to bring? Don't work on. Get off my keyboard. Get off. Get off my. Get
Well,
off
my
my.
point is that there a lot of work needs to be done to eradicate all of this, and I really truly believe that just creating the awareness is making a difference. And if you if you want to message inbox me, if you have any
Yeah.
questions, or if any of your guests tonight have any questions possibly for me right now.
Yeah. To the folks who are watching, Jane, Dave, Ray, William, and all the others. Any guys have questions? Any guys have questions for her?
I have a question. Did any of those traffickers have like dogs with them or animals? Or were
No,
they just pretty much there to do their business? They
their
weren't
business.
coming after you yet. They were just being traffickers. It just scares me because I see these crimes on TV, and as soon as they bring the dogs out, I mean, the guys run. It's terrifying because they know those dogs are going to get them. So, were you ever? You were in danger the whole time, I know, but there was no like outside danger besides what you endured, correct? Do they still come after you? Like, well, you've got cameras everywhere, which is so wise. Have you caught
Well, I
anybody?
mean, of course, they try to send people to earn my trust. I've had situations where I've been poisoned. I was poisoned last summer. I believe I was given ricin poisoning. It's a poisoning that has no you can't detect it. There's no cure for it. I watched my grandmother die, and she had all the symptoms that I had last summer when I was poisoned. And
Wow.
it's a constant thing. But I live to talk about it. I believe God is using me as a vessel.
Dave
Right.
Globin is asking for the name of your group again.
Oh, can I type in the chat?
You should be able to.
Modern
Yeah,
day.
I don't even see the chat at all.
It's
Okay.
modern day slavery, bringing or creating awareness to
Modern day slavery.
Oh, you know
Bring,
what? I may be able to use my other phone. Let me see.
bring in awareness to USA, right?
Yeah.
to human trafficking USA.
Right. So I have what's it? Don't stop. Modern day slavery, bring awareness to USA, correct?
Let me see. I'm gonna type it in.
Oh, modern day slavery, create an awareness.
Anyway, I'm constantly reminding my members to keep the cameras rolling. If you have to seek medical attention, have somebody watching over you that you trust. And those are a few of my survival tips. Had I known had I known then what I know now, a lot of that wouldn't have happened to me. But as Jen has said before, it had to happen because I had a story to tell, right?
That's awesome.
Okay, so I typed it in. They should be able to see it.
Yeah, and I wanted to encourage everyone, if you see something, say something. And I'm not talking about these red flag laws where if you see someone who is carrying a gun, no. If you see weird things like campers or RVs in people's backyards that someone's carrying a plate of food to or something weird like that, they are not feeding the mice that are inside that trailer. They have somebody in there. And I'm like ready to call just to, I mean, I'm not saying something. I'm just like, that's weird. Clean it up. There's a daycare, and behind this daycare, they have this temporary setup with like blue tarps. These tarps everywhere, and I think of the Elizabeth Smart kidnapping where she was taken by someone. It's so sneaky when it's someone you know. And he was a groundskeeper, and he went up and cut the screen on her window and kidnapped her. And then
Mm.
he made her join him and his wife's cult, and continually raped her, took advantage of her, brainwashed her. And so when the police came and got her, they recognized her because she was on um, the wanted wall, not for doing a crime, but for missing, like an abduction wall. And I'm thinking, she even says, like she's come full circle, and she comes back to like bring awareness and make sure people know these things are not normal. You see these tents put up, or it's just trashy. If it's not degrading the neighborhood, what is it doing? It's not like they have a hole in their roof. They built a shelter outside for something. And so if it's protecting like wood that it doesn't get rained on, okay, but it's weird. And this shelter made behind a daycare, I'm like, that's creepy. Stop it. I'll probably call the daycare first and say, what's that about? Get rid of that. That's trashy. You're making yourself look very unsafe and the neighborhood look trashy. So you
Well,
can start
you
little.
wanna you wanna contact multiple sources, not just the local law enforcement, because they may be very quick to cover it up and possibly, kill the victim right away. It's a very dangerous situation.
Yeah. Okay. It's going on 8 o'clock. I'm gonna, with your permission, Suzanne, I'm gonna. I know the opening credits. We played the one song now that you gave the words to, and it's your favorite. Do you mind if I play one? The other one's just as a it's a little bit longer. It has the extra lyrics that you wanted.
Yeah.
The theme of the music, the genre of the music, is a little bit different. But I think when you hear the singing and you hear the music, it gives strength to your story,
Mhm.
to your experience, and it gives hope. Is it okay if I play that?
Yeah, I just have one last thing to say. Slavery was never abolished. the plantations only got bigger. Y'all remember that?
Yeah, the plantation became the size of our country.
Yeesh.
So here is this. So, folks, these are Suzanne's words put to the music created by my favorite AI, Suno.com. And when this is over, we'll say our goodbyes. And if anyone thinks of any questions after the fact, you know how to get a hold of Suzanne and Jen, and of course myself. And we can get you the answers that you might be looking for. So here we go.
My name is Suzanne. I have a story to tell. I was torn from my baby boy, my child, and thrown into modern day slavery. My sexual human traffickers never wanted me to live long enough to tell what really happened to me. My father, God of Isaac, Abraham, and Jacob had other plans. Awareness about human trafficking in America is so important. Who would have guessed in America when I finally escaped that the police did not protect me and only protected my traffickers? That day I escaped is the day I became a targeted individual. My father, God of Isaac, Abraham, and Jacob had other plans. Awareness about human trafficking in America is so important. It's so important. My father, God of Isaac, Abraham, and Jacob had other plans. Awareness about human trafficking in America is so important. It's so important.
Yes, it is. So important. Be aware. Be aware, folks, ladies, especially guys who love your women. Please, for those who have young girls who are getting out in the world on their own, give them all the tools they need to protect themselves or be there for them. So, I am Randy of All Roads Lead to Genealogy. My calendar is closed right now, so I am booked. Jen, you want to tell people what you do, where they can find you, and what shows you're on?
Yes, you can find me on the American Rebellion. And my website is Cookie Crumbs, where I can walk you through how to begin homeschooling. And I'm just trying to make it more comfortable, natural, and simple. It's not something hard, and you are protected by the law if you choose to do this. So always vote for school choice, because you're not bound to go to I call them government schools, public schools, but you also have the option of choice. That's what freedom is all about. When you don't have choice, it's communism. And so just know you're free to teach your children what you want them to be taught. Thank you.
Suzanne, final words?
I just wanted to thank everybody for listening to my story, and just know that Freedom is excluded to those victims of modern day slavery here in America, and awareness is everything.
And you will find me tomorrow, Friday, 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, with my good friend and buddy, Dave Globin of Boogie with the Bow. Please join us there. If you want to be part of the show, give us plenty of warning so we can send you out an invitation to join it, or at least be in the comment section, and please comment. So Dave Globin of Boogie with the Bow. And with that, I'm going to say, I'm going to cut Jenn out first. Jenn, thank you for being here. You did a phenomenal job. Tuesday, next week at 7 p.m. Eastern, we'll be talking about slavery during the war between the North and the South. See you,
Awesome.
Jenn. Bye-bye. And Suzanne, thank you for being here. I'm so glad the audio problem was working for you and you had no problems. We had no problems hearing you clearly. And the folks who are watching have no problems hearing you. And it's a phenomenal show. Hopefully, we can bring awareness and find some way to get this, stopped. You know, we need to start throwing some very important people in prison to to catch the attention of those who are lower on the totem pole. So, Jenn, I'm going to kick you out. Have a great rest of your evening. See ya. And I am Randy of Boogie the Bow. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. with Dave Globin, and I am all Rhodes Liam Genealogy. If you have any questions about your family, I can answer those questions for you. Usually within the same day or a couple days after fact. Just ask questions about where do I come from? Well, I can tell who you are, where you came from within an hour and a half. I can do that for you at no charge. If you're looking for a much deeper dive into your family, going back, way back, even beyond Mayflower, we can talk about that as well. So with that, folks, I'm going to bring this show to an end. You folks, take care. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.